What's up guys, Josh here. Today I wanted to make a different type of video showcasing a list I made of 10 of the fastest cars that you can get for under $20,000. Now these cars are cars that, if all you want is the performance and you want something that is extremely affordable, then this video is for you. Now coming in at number 10, we have the Pontiac GTO. Now this car was underrated due to its appearance. Looks kind of stylish, but I guess, people at the time, didn't really think that the styling was all that appealing to a sports car. But look a little more into it, and it's got a 400 horsepower V8 engine that can do 0 to 60 in just only 5.3 seconds. Now that's really quick for 2004, for any type of muscle car. And it can do 0 to 100 in just 13.4 seconds, which is impressive too. And it had a top speed of 175 miles an hour. So this car was very quick, not quite in the 200 club, but, it was definitely, quick for the time period. It was faster than the Porsche Boxster, BMW M3 and M4, so, if you pulled up to this thing in a stoplight, you wouldn't mess with this, if you knew how fast they were. So, these vehicles are extremely rare, and you can pick one of these things up for as little as $10,000. Now, $10,000 is like a steal for a great performance car. I think part of the reason too is, there's no demand for Pontiacs since they don't make Pontiac anymore. So, very interesting vehicle regardless. Coming in at number 9, we have the Subaru Legacy GT. Now, these cars are well known for holding their value extremely well, and it has a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine that contains 265 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. Now that, may just seem like average horsepower, but looking into it a little further, it can do 0 to 60 in 5.8 seconds, so just under 6 seconds. And it can do 0 to 100 in 15.2 seconds, which is like mediocre type of speed to get from 0 to triple digits. And has a top speed of 150 miles an hour, so it's not really slow, but it's not really super duper fast. It's probably somewhat fast, but not overly fast. You could find a 2010 model for just $13,000 or lower depending on how high the miles are. Last year they made this model was 2012, so they no longer make it. It seemed to be due to poor sales. I guess not enough people buying them, so that is why they no longer make them. Now, coming in at number 8, you're probably wondering why a Toyota Camry is on this list. Now, this is not just any Toyota Camry. This is the Toyota Camry SE. It is a performance version of the Toyota Camry. Thinking how does that work? Well, first, it has a 178 horsepower engine that can do 0 to 60 in just 5.8 seconds, so just a little under 6 seconds. This car can do the quarter mile at 14.6 seconds at 100.6 miles an hour. And it has a top speed of 128 miles an hour, which is kind of embarrassing if you ask me, considering a lot of performance cars can at least do 160 nowadays. Now here's a catch to this. Depending on which year you get and the mileage, you are not going to be getting a Toyota Camry SE for under $20,000. The ones, though, you could get for under $20,000 would be, for example, something like a 2018 with roughly 50,000 miles. So basically, not impressively low miles, but, you could get one, for on the cheaper side, as long as you buy the right one. Now coming in at number 7, this is another car that you would never expect to find on this list, and that car is the Honda Accord Coupe EXL. This car surprisingly has a fast driving experience. This car can do 0 to 60 in just 6.6 seconds, so it's not you floor it and you just it throws you back in the seat or anything, but It gets up to 60, I guess, decently quick for what it is. Can do the quarter mile in 15.1 seconds at 92.6 miles an hour. All that power comes thanks to the 3.5 liter V6 that has 278 horsepower and 252 pound-feet of torque. Now, those stats sound pretty normal for a sedan. You could get a 2013 model for roughly $14,000, which, is a pretty good price for something like that. It's like, if you want something relatively cheap, but, like it's not like the slowest thing in the world. So now, coming in at number 6, we have a different kind of car that Lexus made. This right here is the IS350 Convertible. Now, this car can do 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds, can do 0 to 100 in 13.9 seconds, and has a top speed of 141 miles an hour, which is not incredibly fast. Now, this is definitely a stylish car. Like, Lexus is known for being, like, really fancy and, just really, like, eye-catching when you're going down the road. People are likely to give you some looks when you're driving down it. So you can pick up a 2010 model for just $13,000, which seems like a steal for one of these things. But there's a catch. A lot of these models are going to have higher mileage. That is the reason why they are on the cheaper side. Now, I would, can't expect to get like a 2015 Lexus 350C with like 10,000 miles for under 20,000. It's not happening. So just an example of why this car ended up on the fastest cars under 20,000. Now, coming in at number 5, we have the Jaguar XJ. Now, this car is very stylish and luxurious from the inside out. This is definitely a very, very rare car in the United States. This car can do 0 to 60 in an astonishing 4.9 seconds. So basically, just 5 seconds even. And this car can do the quarter mile in 13.3 seconds. And it's reported it can do 0 to 124 miles an hour, 200 kilometers an hour, in 19 seconds. Now, that is really, really quick. Now, here's the catch. You are not just going to be getting one of these cars for a good price with low miles. The best deal I saw was a 1994 XJS convertible rear-wheel drive for just $7,500 with only 49,000 miles. So, that car has definitely sat for quite some time and definitely, held, some sort of value there. It didn't really hold a lot of value. So that's just something to take into consideration when you buy these things. Though it seems a lot of people would be willing to make the sacrifice to buy one of them. Now, there are various models of the XJ that you will not be able to get for under 20,000. Just to name some of them: the Portfolio, R Sport, Supercharged, and any V8 version of it. Though you could find a 2010 for just 16,000, which is definitely like really, really good for a car like this, regardless of the high miles and how luxurious it is. So it's something, if you want to drive and be getting some, good looks from people, then by all means, go for it. So this car was definitely ahead of its time. Now, coming in at number 4, we have the Nissan 370Z. This car is quicker than most cars in its price range. This car can do 0 to 60 in just 4.9 seconds, so essentially just under 5 seconds. And it can do the quarter mile in 13.4 seconds at 105.2 miles an hour. Though don't get your hopes up, because you can't get the Roadster Touring rear-wheel drive version for under 20,000. Now, this car, obviously, just looking at it, has definitely retained style and aged beautifully throughout the years, and car enthusiasts today are just still satisfied overall with the appearance and the performance that it gives. Now, coming in at number 3, we have the Infiniti G37X. Now, this is one of the more luxurious cars. It's one of those cars that you know, would be nice if, you know, like you were going on like a business trip, or if you just wanted to, you know, like drive out, you know, on the open road somewhere and just take a more like relaxing drive. But there's a catch. This car can do 0 to 60 in 5.4 seconds, quarter mile at 13.9 seconds at 100.5 miles an hour. You could pick up a 2009 model for as low as 13,000, which is definitely, you know, not a bad price for something luxurious. But a lot of the cars that you are going to find are going to have higher mileage. So, you know, that's just something to, you know, keep in mind. Now, coming in at number 2, this is one of those cars that you would never expect to be on this list, but here's why it is on this list and why I chose it as number 2. Because this was a forgotten car by most people due to just looking at it as a normal sedan. But if you look into it a little deeper, you'll find out that it has fun-to-drive engineering by Mazda. Now, this car can do 0 to 60 in 7.4 seconds, so it's really not like outstanding, but you know, this thing can take corners with ease. So if you turn a little quick into a turn, and normally how most like normal cars would, it would feel like intense, it would feel like it's going to kind of flip. You know, there's something in the suspension or how they made it, you know, that makes it take corners easier, like stiffer suspension and things like that. Car can do quarter mile in 0 to 124 miles an hour in 25.2 seconds. So it's not really astonishing, but this is more so one of those cars, if you can ignore the speed factors and mostly cornering, then this is something that would likely be for you. The majority of these cars, they sell, you know, fairly a few years old for a very decent price for lower mileage. You know, but don't get too excited, because you're not going to be able to get the GT and Signature front-wheel drive versions of it. You know, I would say this is definitely a car, you know, if you don't want to spend too much money for something that can throw you into some corners with more ease than most normal cars probably would. Now, coming in at number 1, we have the Volvo S60 T6. Now, this is basically a Swedish luxury sedan. It's all-wheel drive, so it's good in the snow. You can get a 2011 for the best price with a decent amount of lower mileage, which most of them are somewhat high. So this is definitely a car I would be a little careful looking for. Now, the ones with lower mileage, you know, you're obviously not going to get those for under 20,000. But nevertheless, you know, this is an inexpensive car. It can do 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds, 0 to 100 in about 13 seconds, and has a top speed of 155 miles an hour. You know, just all-wheel drive and some sort of, you know, luxuriness is enough to consider getting one of these, especially if you live in a place where it snows. So this is going to wrap it up with our list. So let me know in the comments section which one of these cars you would consider, because these are definitely some interesting ones. So with that wraps up this whole video. Now that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe for more, and make sure you turn on post notifications so you do not miss out on one of these videos. And along with that, I'll see you next time.